Story time on how I ended up having to pay back the government $3,000 in food stamps. So back in October 2021, I was fired from Starbucks, right? I got to give y'all that story too. And for the month of October and November, I was flying through my savings. So in December, one of my friends suggested, she was like, why don't you apply for food stamps? So I was real skeptical because I've never been on public assistance before. And from what I've heard, like, oh, they need all your information, whatever, whatever. But then I was like, I was looking for a job actively and nobody was calling me back. And I'm like, damn, this is about to be the second month, no income coming or whatever. Let me apply for food stamps. So I ended up doing it. And the good thing about it is the process that I went through, I just had to go through like the HRA app. And I ended up just sending them a picture of my unemployment letter because I was also denied for unemployment because of Starbucks. And once I sent that to HRA, the denial of unemployment, they approved me for food stamps. No problem. So I got my first payment in January, and they sent the letter saying that I need to recertify every year. And with every year, I have to recertify with my new income or whatever the case may be. So I'm like, all right, cool. Again, I wasn't familiar. This was my first time. I didn't know. So I ended up starting to get the food stamps in January. And then I got a job at the end of February, which is the job that I have now. So like I said, I didn't know that I was supposed to update them that I got a job and you know what I mean? So they could alter how much they're giving me. All I knew was that they said every year I have to recertify. So I just said, next year I'm just not going to recertify because I already know that I have a job. So the full year went by. And like I said, I already knew I was not going to recertify. But then they sent me a letter saying, hey, you don't have to recertify. We're going to continue paying you for the next 6 months. So I'm like, oh, okay. I wasn't, like I said, again, I wasn't familiar with the process or whatever the case may be. I was just like, okay, no problem. So I continued.
Ain't that convenient? We love to be we love to be conveniently unfamiliar with processes when it serves us. She knows that doesn't make no effing sense. You know that the reason that you were getting the benefits you were getting at the amount that you were getting it was because you filled out certain paperwork. They did a calculation. And based on that calculation, that's what they said that you were eligible for. So, if anything within that calculation changes, then that would make you no longer ineligible. And not only that, you apply for these things because you need them. But the idea is supposed to be when you no longer need it, that is when you remove yourself because that is the ethical thing to do. And what that also does is that opens up the opportunity for the next person. And ultimately, it doesn't drain government funds. Because even if the government does have all that money ready to give, it can't hurt to have some in reserve for when emergencies could happen, right? The same way you lost your job, and right in that moment, it was an emergency. And if you don't think that there are millions of people that can go through an emergency that same way, and it would be nice if we already have funds allocated and ready for the people the same way it was allocated and ready for you, then it's just sad. And I don't like us being see if the roles were reversed, then she would understand it. But when it serves us, all of a sudden we just conveniently misunderstand the rules of certain things. And I think that's incredible.
You taking the payments. So now around April 2023, they sent me a letter officially telling me like that I need to recertify or whatever. And I declined to recertify again because I already had a job and I already knew that I wasn't going to qualify. Cool, no problem. So then they sent me a letter in June telling me that because I didn't certify, they were cutting me off, granted, which I already knew. Y'all, tell me why in November 2023, they sent me a letter saying that they overpaid me $3,000 in food stamps and I have to start paying them back as soon as possible. I was like, what? So of course now I got this letter and I'm so confused because I'm like, how the hell do I owe y'all $3,000 if y'all kept giving me the money? I never recertified. Y'all kept giving me the money. So now I'm pissed. So now I go to like the HRA like office in my area. They're like, "Oh no, you can't. You're not supposed to come here. You're supposed to go down to Pearl Street on by Brooklyn Bridge." So I went down to Pearl Street at Brooklyn Bridge, and apparently that wasn't like an office for you to.
Again, conveniently misunderstanding. She's like, how do I owe y'all the money if y'all was paying it? Does everybody else in the audience understand the logic of how she still owes the money? We do, right? Because we're looking at things objectively and fairly. But she's looking at it subjectively, unfairly, solely on her behalf. She's not thinking of the other party involved. And especially because the other party is the government. So in her mind, she just sees, it's like when people just see a billionaire, right? And they just dehumanize them and they're just, you just got all this money. We need it more than you. But what she doesn't recognize is the fact that that money from that government comes from people like me, from people like you. And that's what she fails to recognize. So yes, you owe that money back because you didn't need it and because you conveniently misunderstood the guidelines that any person, a fifth grader could understand the way that the guidelines and rules go. So the fact that you conveniently overlooked it, that sounds like a personal problem to me.
Talk to someone that was just like a office building. So I went down to Pearl Street because again, I wasn't familiar with the process. They did send me a paper explaining to me that I had to start making payment plans and where I could make. It wasn't for me. The paper wasn't clear, and I wanted to know why I had to pay back. You know. So I went down there to Pearl Street, and some ladies came down to speak to me. Very nasty, very rude, and I was just like, "What is going on?" So when they came down, immediately one of the ladies was like, "This is not a walk-in center. You're supposed to call on the phone." So I was like, okay, first of all, good morning. And I was like, second of all, I've been trying to call you guys all week. And every time I've been on the phone on hold for 3 or more plus hours. So if you guys don't want to use this as a walk-in center, then try having.
Honestly, it's really nothing even to talk about. So I don't know why you're trying to talk. Again, you want to talk about something that we all understand. Anybody with a brain can understand the reason and the rationale of why what you did was wrong. So there's nothing to talk about. You're not going to talk your way out of this. You're going to pay that money. And see, you're going to be held accountable to the number one force when it comes to holding people accountable. You can play with all these other debt collectors, your family members, your friends who you owe money, but see, you're not going to pay with you're not going to play with the government. You're going to pay the government. So play with them if you want to. They don't owe you anything.
Somebody pick up the phone because people have things to do. So then she was just like, "How can I help you?" So I explained the situation to her, and she was like, "Okay." She went back upstairs. She came back down like 10 minutes later with paperwork, again with a nasty ass attitude, and she's underlined it. She's like, "Is this your name?" She circled my name. I said yes. And then she flipped it over and circled my income for the previous year, and she was like, "This is the income that you had last year?" And I said yes. She was like, "You weren't supposed to qualify. You made way too much money. I don't even understand how you think that you qualified for food stamps." And I was like, first of all, I didn't do anything to you, so I don't know what the issue is, but please stop talking to me like that. And I was like, second of all, this was my first time using government assistance, so I wasn't I didn't know that I was supposed to let you guys know that I started working, because the initial paperwork said that you recertify every year. So I just figured, okay, if I get it for this year, next year I won't recertify. And then on top of that, I brought the letter, and then I'm like, and then you guys sent me this letter saying that I did not have to recertify. You're going to continue to pay me. So how was I supposed to know? And she was like, "Oh, well, Yes, the minute you started working, you were supposed to record that. And I'm like, okay, well, now here we are. I'm like, so what happens now? She's like, well, you could start a payment plan of the payment plan said $19 a month to pay off my $3,000 debt. What? She was like, yeah, so just start sending your $19. Attitude's still nasty, right? The attitude was still nasty. So then I'm like,
You know what's crazy? She acting like she don't understand the law. She don't understand the guidelines. She don't understand the rules. Man, y'all, these ladies know this court system, these guideline systems, these Section 8 systems, like the back of their hand. It's incredible. So to act like she don't understand, I really don't like these games. It's no wonder she got fired from Starbucks. See, that was the key. She said they fired her, and that's why she didn't qualify for unemployment. It's no wonder, because who got time for this all day? I mean, goodness gracious. Y'all understand these laws so well until it can hurt you, and then all of a sudden you're oblivious and you don't know how it went wrong.
I'm not paying $19 for however long to pay off this debt. I'm like, I'm ready to pay you guys in full right now. Like, can I swipe my debit card? And she's like, that's when her whole attitude changed. She's like, you have $3,000? And I'm like, yes. And she's like, to pay in full right now? I'm like, yes, I'm coming to pay you guys. Like, how do we do this? So now she's looking there, and like I said, she was with another lady. So now they're both looking at me. And in my mind, I realized, I'm like, oh, so they expected me to be like begging to not, like, I don't know what they expected. Let me take that back. I don't know what they expected, but they definitely judged me 100%, because the minute I said I could pay back that $3,000 right now, their attitudes completely changed. And she was like, oh, I don't know who has $3,000 just laying around to pay back. And I was like, I do. Where do I pay you? Because now she was pissing me off. And she was like, oh, well, we can't take payments here. You have to write a check. And I was like, okay, no problem. You guys will get the check tomorrow. And
She's peeing me off, because why were you still accepting it? And you had all this discretionary income, this discretionary money, these reserves saved. So what this really just goes to show is that you really didn't need it. And this isn't an isolated incident. And I'm glad she exposed this, because I feel that this is a lot of people. A lot of people are better off than the working people who are paycheck to paycheck and working their butts off. And meanwhile, she had all this money saved, but was taking advantage of the system. And that exposes. What does that expose? That exposes what everybody sees and why you have so much change coming on. It exposes the fact that there is a glitch in the system. And now we're correcting it, and there's nothing to talk about. There's nothing left to talk about. There's nothing left to try to solve for, because even in the off-liar situations, there's so much rampant abuse and fraud going on that now pretty much y'all done messed it up for everybody else. So if you are somebody in need of benefits, if you are somebody with a truly genuine situation that's going on, then people like her, you should be pissed at, because it's people like her that has ruined it for you. And that now, see, when too many people take advantage of something, then now it messes it up for everybody, because life's not perfect. So we can't always have this perfect balance. We just have to restore order. And you have nobody to thank other than people like this. So we'll leave it there. Like the video. Also subscribe if you want to join Limitless Legion. Cash App's link below if you want to buy your boy iced coffee. Tip the channel. And also feel free to join the Patreon, where I post self-improvement content. Until then, I'll catch you in the next video.